Hey, I'm Daniel. I'm one of the project members for this beer group, and today we're going to be tasting a couple beers. This is Jordan, our local beer expert. So we're going to start out today with a lager, a longboard, and then we're going to move on to a Stone IPA, which is going to be followed by Dead Guy Ale, which is a pale ale, and then lastly we'll finish off with another Stone beer, the Smoked Porter. So Jordan's going to get us underway with these tastings.
Yeah, sure. So, first we're going to start off with our Kona Brewing Company Longboard Lager. It's an American pale lager. And for each beer, I'll just go through what it's like to pour it, to see how the appearance is, and then to taste it, and let you guys know a little bit about different notes that I see in it. So, pour in the Longboard. You can see that it's rather pale, pretty thin head. It's like a straw or wheat-ish color. Pour down some.
Thank you.
See that? Not especially strong smell to it. It's pretty light beer overall. It is a pale lager after all. So as a pale lager, they're called all malts, meaning that there's very little, if any, hop flavor in it. It's really all malt plus yeast too, as well as cereals such as rice and corn to give it a little bit of flavor and what Budweiser would call drinkability.
Mm-hmm. So would you say that lagers are most beers that people drink in general are lagers?
Yeah, like all the big macro breweries like Budweiser, Coors, Miller, all brew American pale lagers or light lagers like to that effect. Kona is from a smaller company. They have a slightly different craft in it, but yeah, it's all kind of the same spectrum of light lager beers. So they pair very well with almost anything. So they're very easy to drink alone in sessions or with any kind of pairing you'd like.
Yeah. And one thing we had talked about earlier is that this is not the correct glassware necessarily for tasting these beers. Right? Did you know what glass was best for a lager?
These would be best in a Pilsner glass, which is it's kind of like this shape, but it's the base is a bit thinner and draws up with flat or straight sides to the top. So this is probably fine though.
Okay.
Pint glasses like this are rather usable for anything.
Alright, cool. Alright, should we move on to our next beer?
That's that.
Alright.
Next up is the Stone Cali Belgique IPA. According to the back panel of this bomber, it's brewed in the same way as the American IPA that Stone is so famous for, but with Belgian yeast, which makes it what they call funky. I don't know what that means, but we'll figure it out.
Just go for it. So this is a special release, right? This isn't something brewed year round.
Yeah, it's a pretty low volume produced IPA.
Oh, cool.
Pour a bit for Dan.
Thank you.
As you see, it's darker. The head's also rather thin, but it pours a fair amount darker than the Longboard Lager. So it has a little bit more darker malt, like malty roast, like roasted malt for in that profile. Also, the head clearly sticks around a lot longer than in the Longboard. You can see even in the bottle, it's just a lot more foamy. Also smells a lot more pungent. So you can you taste what's making it funky. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Kind of very characteristic of an IPA, right?
Yeah.
So this is like a Belgian California IPA. How does the Belgian part come in here?
The Belgian part is the yeast being used. It's a Belgian strain of yeast. It's pretty new or low volume style. Which is why it came out in pretty low volume release. Belgian beers have this kind of strange-ish bitter flavor to them, and this adds that strange bitter flavor of the yeast imparts to the hoppy character of an IPA. It's a pretty interesting beer overall.
And I think we mentioned this earlier when we were talking, but we talked about food pairings a little bit with the last beer, and this is kind of unique, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This is not just an IPA, but it's a special IPA.
It's a beer to be tasted much more than it is a beer to just be like drunk alone.
Yeah.
So it's like paired very well with cheeses. This would go well according to some beer reviewers with sharp cheeses like blue or cheddar, or a pungent gorgonzola or Limburger, or a tangy Edam or feta cheese.
Oh, okay, cool. Very good.
Well, as I said, that the longboard would go well with almost anything. It's just like
such a light beer, right? Yeah.
It wouldn't interfere with anything you're drinking. So that's nice.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what we have next.
Third up, we have the famous Rogue Dead Guy Ale. It's this really cool skeleton guy on it. And actually, on the bombers, the skeleton is printed in golden dark ink.
Oh,
It's
wow.
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But it has nothing to do with the beer taste itself, but it's pretty cool.
All right.
I think Rogue's up in Oregon. Yeah, it is.
Maybe,
It's Oregon brewed.
Got a nice
It'll be a little bit
collection here.
darker, I think. It's about the same color as the Cali Belgique IPA. We're not washing these glasses either, so it's all kind of a.
Yeah.
We'll make it work.
We'll make it work. We'll go with it.
That was a pretty bad pour. But yeah, as you see, also a rather strong head presence in the foam. I don't know about lacing. I don't think it laces quite as well as the Cali Belgique IPA, but it's pretty solid. Like, I'm not sure if it's covered in other parts of the project, but the foam, it serves to capture the aromatics, so the different fumes that come off of the beer. So all that flavor, all that like scent is captured in the foam, and lets you have a more like full overall experience with the beer. On tasting, it's not like it doesn't have that funky feeling that you felt from the Cali Belgique. It's just rather pretty clean.
Yeah.
Like ale kind of feeling, like IPA-ish kind of feeling.
Not quite
like,
strong
it's
though, right?
Not like without the strong hops on
Yeah,
it. So it's just like a standard ale
Yeah.
kind of taste to it. Which is pretty interesting given that Dead Guy is officially a Maibach, or which is derived from a type of lager, but as a bock, it is brewed in ale kind of temperatures, and conditioning. So which gives it this like kind of full flavor, as opposed to the Kona, which is more of a light body kind of thing.
All right, and I know so far all three of these beers have been brewed in different locations. How much has the location? Does this play a role? Do we see geographic trends at all?
Yeah. I mean, like there used to be more of an influence of geography on what beers are made where. Like with the advent of microbreweries and I guess globalization in general, you can kind of ship whatever parts of a beer you want to make wherever you want to make it. So like that doesn't have a huge effect, but it does in like places like on like American microbreweries. Like for instance, Stone is down in California, but they can use Belgian yeast because they can get it there.
Yeah, they can get it.
But and like Rogue is in Oregon, and it's a Bock German style beer. But like for some like the older breweries, like for instance like in like Central Europe and like in England, where breweries have been making beer for hundreds of years and still do it in that style. The different local yeasts, different local wheats, malts, as well as the water itself, plays a pretty big role in what the beer ends up tasting like.
Okay, makes sense. Very cool.
So yeah, like if you use all local ingredients, the beer ends up being a reflection of what the different geography is like there.
Yeah.
Much like breads and like how like a sourdough will be different in California versus
Then it will be.
New England.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is a more casual beer, correct? In comparison to the IPA we just tasted before. Yeah.
Yeah. That guy can probably be paired with a Italian or German cuisine, as well as nutty cheeses or light meats such as shellfish, salmon, or other fish. Okay, so moving on to our last beer, which is the Stone Smoked Porter. So it's about the same guys who brought us the Kelly Belgian IPA. But this, as a porter, it's a rather dark and strong kind of beer. Porters are derived from stouts, which are known for not necessarily their hoppiness, but the malt used. Darker beers tend to have darker malts, like more heavily roasted malts. So like much like there's like light, medium, dark roast coffee.
Yeah.
You can roast malt to light, medium, or dark roast, and that will affect the flavors that are imparted into the resulting beer.
So would you say the main difference is between this and like the IPA that we tasted? Is it down to one's focused more on malts, others focused on hops, like barley, or what? I don't know.
That's a decent answer to that question. I'd say like there actually are some, well, especially from Stone, what are called black IPAs, which have both very dark roasted malts and a strong hop profile, which like is kind of overwhelming to a lot of people. The smoked porter goes for more of the dark roasted malt plus smoked porters tend to have like some kind of flavoring in them. I read that this one will have kind of like some vanilla notes in it. So yeah, that's kind of a difference in emphasis for each one. That's fine. Interesting. Yeah.
Very different from everything else you've tasted so far.
It's definitely it's a beer to be like savored by itself, or with like either like kind of like a heavy kind of profile. Like this beer will overpower most things you're gonna be eating. So you want to go for either like red meat, or like even like something that's like very like safe, like indulgent, so like chocolate or like cheesecake
with its own unique flavor.
So yeah, this beer is like more. It's definitely like a dark, like chocolately malt profile to it, as well as like some hints of vanilla and like some I guess smokiness, which kind of harkens back to its name as a smoked porter.
So one thing we kind of notice is that with the lighter beers you've seen a lighter color, and with these darker beers it's like much darker color. Now what is that really down to? What causes this color difference?
Yeah, the color is by and large influenced by the malt roast.
Okay.
Or I mean, malt being like one of the things in the ingredients to the beer, but there's also a range of other like cereals added to them. So like wheat, rice, and corn is for like some of the larger scale breweries. But yeah, it's usually like the malt. Like,
okay.
Things down to.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah. So we're just about done now. Any last remarks you'd like to make about summing these beers up? I don't know if there's anything that can tie this together besides that there's a great variability in a lot of different types of beers and you can try. Kind of something for everybody to
sure.
understand.
Yeah, like the range that beers cover is just outstanding.
Yeah.
from beers that like you wouldn't have any problem like chugging down many of them over the course of like a session. To beers that you'll savor in like much like you would a very very fine wine that you wouldn't want to have more than a couple ounces of because of how strong they are, how bitter they are. It really runs the gamut of like occasions, even from like casual drinking with your friends during the day to like savoring by a fire or something like that. So yeah, it's a huge range of what you can experience.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was really a pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll have to do this again sometime.
For sure.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.